Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss on planning. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Planning. Planning, it precedes all other managerial functions. It formulates the objectives, means of the entity and all other functions that are necessary to carry them. Before any action is taken in the organization, it is essential to think and design the future course of action. Otherwise, it would be ambiguous and performance could not be up to the level of desired standard. Planning is to decide in advance that what to do, how to do, who to do, and when to do. Therefore, planning is determination of future course of action, and basically planning is decision making and thinking function. That is thinking before doing. Why planning is necessary? Planning is necessary in order to cope up with the changes in the market conditions, and it acts as a tool in the hands of manager. Therefore, planning is primarily concerned with future and it involves the selection of suitable course of action. It also decides the kind of the organization structure, influences the kind and quantity of people, affects the kind of direction to the organization, and also furnishes the standards of control. Planning, it can be accomplished in a series of steps, and this is called as planning process. And the steps in planning are awareness of opportunities, establishing objectives, planning premises, identifying the alternatives, evaluating the alternatives, selecting a course of action, formulating derivative plans, and budgeting. Let us see in detail. The first one is awareness of opportunities. Basically, managers are needed to know the availability of opportunities to the organization, and opportunities are available from the environment. Awareness of opportunities, it involves preliminary understanding, estimating the opportunities and analyzing them in terms of strengths and weaknesses of the organization. Planning, it enables the organization to see the objectives clearly in specific terms and makes the organization to relate itself with the environment. The second step in planning is to set up the objectives for the organization as a whole, for the departments and individuals. These objectives are set to be for long term and short term. Objectives are the end points of the managerial course of action, and they are the destination for all the activities. Objectives, they appear in different forms such as mission, overall objectives, divisional objectives, departmental objectives, individual objectives, etc. Third one is planning premises. After determining the objective, the next step is to establish the planning premises. Planning premises, it refers to the environmental circumstances in which plan works. The fourth one is identifying the alternatives. Identification of alternatives for attainment of the objectives. Managers, they have to identify the various alternative course of action, and here manager has to remember that he should not satisfy with least number of alternatives while developing the alternatives. Managers, he has to take these certain elements into consideration such as capital, manpower, philosophies, etc. And the next one is evaluating the alternatives. Every alternative has its own merits and demerits, and these alternatives have to be evaluated in the light of the enterprise objectives. And the next one is selecting a course of action. Evaluation, it explains the merits and demerits of alternatives, and selection, it is the real point of decision making in order to attain the organization objectives. The next one is formulating derivative plans. After designing the master plan, it is necessary to formulate the plans for various departments separately, and these departmental plans are called as derivative plans. And the last one is budgeting. A budget, it is a forecasted statements of revenue and expenditure. No plan will be implemented unless it is supported by adequate resources. Therefore, proper planning should be done keeping in view the circumstances, the need, magnitude, and level of commitment. Features of good plan. The features are clear objectives, simple and easy, comprehensive, flexible and adaptable, utilization of resources, feasible and reasonable, communication of planning elements, open system approach, integration of long-term and short-term plans. Let us see in detail. Here, a plan should consist of clearly defined objectives, and these objectives they include corporate, departmental, functional, and individual. And the next one is simple and easy. A good plan must be simple and easy to understand, otherwise operational problem arises. Third one is comprehensive. Here, comprehensive means it should touch all the concerned features. The fourth one is flexible and adaptable. Plans always operate in future time periods, but future is uncertain. And in some cases, they are predictable to a certain extent. In the organization, whenever extraordinary situation crop up, plans should be flexible and changeable accordingly. Otherwise, the very purpose of the plan suffers. And the next one is utilization of the resources. Proper utilization of the resources, in the sense proper planning ensures maximum utilization of the available resources such as human and financial resources. And the next one is feasible and reasonable. A good plan must be feasible and reasonable, otherwise it disturbs the performance of the subordinates. And the next one is communication of planning elements. Always, whatever planning elements are there, it should be communicated properly to the lower levels of the organization. And the next one is open system approach. To make the planning effective, it is the responsibility of the managers to create an environment where subordinates can freely exchange their opinions, feelings, and problems. And the last one is integration of long-term and short-term plans. In order to create synergical effect, long-term and short-term plan should go parallelly. Short-term plan must be developed keeping in view the terms and objectives of long-term planning, and vice versa. Therefore, proper planning coordination is essential between short-term and long-term, and this is for smooth performance of the organization. Advantages of planning. The advantages are increases the organization ability, helps in crystallizing the objectives, ensures a relatedness among decisions, helps the company to remain competitive in its industry, reduces mistakes, reduces unnecessary pressures, maximum utilization of the organization's resources, makes control easier, and helps in securing the better position. Let us see in detail. The first one is increases the organization ability. Future is uncertain and are likely to change with passage of time. Therefore, planning activity provides a systematic approach for future uncertainties. And the next one is helps in crystallizing the objectives. Planning, it gives directions to the activities to be performed, and it focuses on desired result and enable to identify future problems. And the third one is ensures a relatedness among decisions. Planning ensures a relatedness or relationship among various decisions that are taken by the managers in order to attain the organization goal. Fourth one is helps the company to remain competitive in its industry. Planning helps the company to remain more competitive, for example, by adding new product to the product line and making the changes in the methods of operations. And next one is reduces mistakes. Mistakes in the organization cannot be eliminated completely, but can be reduced through proper planning. And the next one is reduces unnecessary pressures. Adequate planning reduces unnecessary pressures. And the next one is planning results in greater productivity by optimum utilization of the resources. And the eighth one is makes control easier. Planning makes control easier. And the last one is helps in securing the better position. That is, adequate planning helps the organization in securing the better position by identification the various opportunities and by utilization of the opportunities. Disadvantages of planning. The disadvantages are difficulty of accurate planning, problems of rapid change, internal limitations, psychological limitations, policy and procedural limitations, lack of reward, lack of participation, and lack of specific objectives. Let us see in detail. The first one is difficulty of accurate planning. Planning, it is based on forecasting, which are never accurate. Accurate planning is not possible as future cannot be predicted with complete accuracy. And the second one is problems of rapid change. Here, rapid change, it is related to the external environment, and planning activities taken in one period may not be relevant for another period. The third one is internal limitations. Managers, they have to work in a set of given variables, and these variables, they provide less flexibility, and such limitation may be either internal or external to the organization. And the fourth one is psychological limitation. Psychological limitations are hard to change, and here managers and employees look more in terms of present rather than future. The fifth one is policy and procedural limitations. Another limitations are in terms of policies and procedures, and once these are established, they are difficult to change, and often they have very little scope for managerial initiative and flexibility. And the next one is lack of reward. Managerial rewards are generally interlinked to short-term results and their performance. Therefore, they tend to pay more attention to the immediate problems rather than the long-term plans. And the next one is lack of participation. People who are not involved in planning, they tend to resist the planning process. And the last one is lack of specific objectives. Planning, it lacks specific objectives like social responsibility, management development, quality of work life, etc. Therefore, planning cannot be effective unless goals are specific, clear, and actionable. Therefore, in order to make planning effective, it should have commitment principle, flexibility in nature, necessary to check the plans periodically, and managers should be able to solve the limiting factors for attainment of organization goals. Thank you.